Hey guys, and welcome to Hopper's Motorsport Vlogs. How are we doing? So today's vlog is all about how well do we think Adam Morgan will do at West Surrey Racing for the 2023 Quick Fit British Touring Car Championship. It's going to be a bit of a mixture of opinions and how I feel personally about Adam's racing career. Do we think it's the right move? Do we think he's going to do very well in the BMW 330E? Which obviously he's raced last season at his family run team, Sicily, but obviously now going for a manufacturer backed BMW drive for 2023. Is it the right move? Is it something that maybe, maybe the right move or may not be? But obviously, as I say, as a disclaimer, we're not here to slate any teams or drivers. We're just here for thoughts and opinions. So yes, as a couple of weeks ago, or maybe sometime before Christmas or just after Christmas, it was announced that Adam Morgan would be joining the likes of Jake Hill and of course Stephen Jelly at WSR. The fourth car or the fourth driver is yet to be announced. Strongly rumoured that Colin Turkington may be there for his last season. We'll go into that as another video if that gets announced and potentially what that may mean. But it was announced that before Christmas that Sicily Motorsport would be um, not not coming back onto the 2023 Quick Fit British Touring Car grid. It was obviously a sad end to Sicily's involvement in the British Touring Cars. It obviously left Adam Morgan with potential. Where would he go to potentially race? And is it the right move? I think personally, yes, it is the right move to a degree because he's in a championship winning team. The team is obviously multiple champions with, of course, Colin Turkington, and with the BMW, the 330E or the 330, it is a car that Adam has raced for the past 2 seasons, so he's not going to go into unfamiliar territory. He is going to be still racing the 330E. However, with the as I say, the 330E, it's now not going to be his family-run Sicily Motorsport, which it came with a big shock that Sicily were pulling out of the British Touring Cars, and then obviously the day later that Adam signs the agreement for WSR. What does it mean though? Does it mean that he's going to potentially win a driver's title? He will have a chance at ultimately winning the overall title. Yes, okay, he had a chance obviously with the independent Sicily Motorsport, but obviously his family run team. But it's now going to be a works driver. Which, what does it mean compared to his, with his racing against his teammate Stephen Jelly, and then of course Jake Hill. I know Jake Hill's by MB Motorsport, but it's WSR run. So it's going to be a very interesting sort of momentum for Adam. Is that going to spear him on? Because obviously Stephen Jelly's just recently been retained by WSR for this season, and we knew a couple of weeks after Adam had been announced at WSR that Jake would be back for another year. So potentially, having a title challenge within the likes of Jake Hill last season. Jake Hill took what could have been argumentatively one of the most craziest fights to the end of last season. Between himself, Tom Ingram, and of course Ash Sutton. So is Adam going to want to try and learn how Jake runs the BMW, how Stephen runs the BMW? What does that mean for George Campbell, Adam's old teammate? Is George Campbell going to come back? Is he rumoured to drive the fourth BMW 330E at WSR? It's hard to tell, but I think the move's right for Adam. I think to potentially get to try and fight for the overall championship instead of fighting for the independent honours. I believe Adam actually won the independents last year in the BMW. I'm not too sure. I can't remember top of my head. I'll have to do some research to make sure that is 100% correct. But it is the right. I think personally, it is the right move because he's got now a chance of getting a chance at the overall title. However, there's going to obviously teams like Tom Ingram when he comes back at Accelerate, Ash Sutton, Jake Hill. Jake's going to be on the charge. Jake's going to want to try and win it for the first time this year. And I think, looking at exactly how things have gone between the likes of Tom Ingram for last season. When he won his maiden championship, look what happened then. But obviously, Adam knows the car. He knows the BMW quite well. He's ran it for 2 seasons with Sicily, but now he's obviously going to be back in the car that he knows quite well anyway for 3 seasons. Adam's history goes back to obviously racing for Speedworks in the Toyota back in, I think it was 2013. Back in 2013, that obviously been from Ginetta's into the Speedworks Toyota Avensis, and then obviously that was coincide with Sicily, and they ran that for a few seasons, and then obviously went to Mercedes for the all-inclusive A class. That was obviously a bit of a pain in the backside. I hate to say this, but pain in the backside to drive. It wasn't reliable as it was after a few hit and misses, and obviously with Adam having the A class and then it set on fire at Alton Park a few years ago. Maybe he was thinking, well, the trusty A class isn't exactly how it is, and who knows what's going to happen with the BMW 330. So that's obviously why they decided to run rear-wheel drive BMWs in 2021, because obviously the A class was getting really outdated. It wasn't up to standard as where he wanted to be. Okay, in 2020 he won that race at Alton Park, but it just shows that the A class was getting outdated. So then that's why they went to BMW, and you know ever since he's done well at Thruxton in the past. He's won there. Maybe he's had great form last season. Maybe that great form will continue to 2023, and who knows who will be alongside him, as well as Stephen Jelly and of course Jake Hill in the fourth car. What do I think to the reasons why it might have not been an easy move for him? I think obviously, Sicily wanted to stay in British touring cars, but obviously, the cost of running your own team, especially now with the cost of living in the world, maybe that was going to hamper him a bit. And obviously, it's not said Sicily Motorsport are pulling out of motorsport altogether. It just says they're pulling out of British touring cars, which I now think they're going to be focused on the historics. I think with that in mind, Adam's probably thinking, well, to save budget and to save costing to get spare parts, obviously getting spare parts from WSR as well as the engine, or whatever vice versa, he's obviously decided, well, why don't we pull the team out and then see what we can do. But he pencils a deal for, I think it's about 2 years at West Surrey Racing, which I think is phenomenal. I think it is absolutely top class. However, I can see Adam trying his best to try and adapt to a new life, a new lease of touring cars, because he's been run, obviously, his family run team since 2013. Okay, he lined up with Speedworks in the Toyota Avensis, but then he went, obviously it's still Sicily run. So maybe after having so many years at his family team, he's decided, well, maybe this is now my shot at potentially reaching the highest of the highest in BTCC, is getting an overall title. I don't see it being a bad move. I think there's ways around it. He knows the BMW, as we say, and he's capable. He's a race winner. So obviously Dick Bennett and the guys at WSR have looked at his profile and thought, probably maybe time and time again, they've probably thought, well, we want you to drive one of our cars, and maybe he's not had the sponsorship, or maybe he hasn't had the budget to potentially get into WSR for whatever reason, and that's why he still ran Sicily Motorsport. And same with Jake Hill. Jake Hill was always wanted to drive for a top class touring car team. Look, when he went to WSR last season, and straight away out the blocks, yeah, okay, it's a new car for him. Yeah, okay, he's not gone. He's gone from front wheel drive to rear wheel drive last season, but you know he adapted quite well. Whereas I think with Adam having 2 seasons with the BMW already anyway, it's kind of kickstarting his career even further. And yes, okay, when he raced in Genettas, they were real wheel drive G50s, and I think that's what kind of where the wheel drive sort of going back extends from his roots. And I don't see it as a problem for Adam to potentially jump into WSR. I think he'll adapt really well with a new team. It may even feel a bit weird with jumping into West Surrey Racing for the time being. But then, however, as the season goes on and the season gets bigger and better, he'll be put there. I think bear in mind who to bring as a fourth driver. I have a strong idea in my head that it could be Colin Turkington, or even George Gamble might come back for another season. But it's kind of difficult to see what's going to happen because obviously with WSR with 4 cars on that grid this season, all 4 of them going to potentially want to reach to win the championship, and you can see exactly how close it's going to get for Adam Morgan to potentially get that overall championship instead of potentially thinking, well, it's not an independent run team now; it's a works backs team, so I'm now getting points as a manufacturer, as a works drive, for the team, the official teams. I think to a degree he will do very well, and I think looking at it, it's going to be quite a. I'm not going to say hard season. I think it's going to be thereabouts. I think bear in mind who gets the 4th seat at WSR. All 4 of them are going to have to work together. It's potentially now a 4 car team that's previously run 3 cars. It's now going to be 4 cars. Maybe the expansion of having three teammates instead of just the one teammate. That's going to be another solution for Adam to look at and potentially, work with the likes of Stephen Jelly and of course Jake Hill and whoever they put in the 4th car. It's going to be very close to see what's going to happen, and who knows? He may look at it and think, well, the 2-year deal is going to work well. It's a multi-year deal. As I say, it's the right move. I personally don't think there's anything really negative towards the move why he's gone to West Surrey Racing. I think, maybe running your own team at this day and age is expensive, especially with it being hybrid as well. The hybrid last year had teething issues for all the teams last year, and you know it happened to be a learning curve for everyone, not just because okay, they had no success ballast, but it was a learning curve when to deploy the hybrid, when not to, how many laps you could have it, and how it would affect your race. And if you didn't have it, your race was 50-50. And I think now that Adam's got a year under his belt in the hybrid era of BTCC, okay, like I say, he's been around since 2013. I think it kind of shows exactly how Adam's going to adapt very well to another season in the BMW. I think the 3rd season in BMW is going to do really well. I don't see them changing BMWs at the moment. I can see it happening at the end of this year, but he's going to. We'll have to see how well he gets on as a quartet. Okay, you've got Jake Hill and you've got Stephen Jelly, the 4th driver yet to be announced. Is that going to be what Adam wants to being spurred on by his teammates that are also race winners? It could be that he could give the likes of Stephen Jelly a run for his money. He could give Jake Hill a run for his money and prove why he's part of that team. And I feel like as I say, there's no negativity into it, and I think the way Adam goes with his racing, he's very focused. He goes well at Thruxton, even if the BMW isn't very strong around there, we know for a fact it isn't. It's normally a Honda circuit. It's normally a front wheel drive circuit at Thruxton. But you know, he's a, as I say, he's a race winner. He's a multiple race winner. So it doesn't. It's not like he's not a race winner. And if he wasn't, then he'd still be. You know, he'd probably give it a shot to try and win a race, even if he wasn't. But he is a multiple race winner, so that coincides with what he has to do. And I can see, you know, the likes of Jake Hill and Stephen Jelly and yet whoever the fourth car is, um, you know, trying to give him a hard time, and you know, if he's trying to win a race or he's trying to lead the race or stuff like that, you know, try and say, well, we'll work as a team, but then team orders do come into it, and you know, who knows exactly um, what that'll mean for Adam. You know, he could potentially be quite a lot of race wins this season. You know, he's got a chance of winning the championship. He's got the chance of, you know, who knows? He's, you know, he probably looks at it and thinks, well, I've got a chance to win the championship now. I've got a chance to win the overall championship in a race, you know, proper championship winning team, and we're going to go for it. I don't see, as I say, I don't see it being a negative problem. I think, you know, whoever they announce for the fourth car, Adam's going to have to learn a lot off them, because it's going to feed it back to four of them. It's not going to be feeding it back just to, say, for example, George Campbell last season, you know, or Tom Chilton the year before that. It's all about having, you know, okay, set up. They, you know, Jake Hill may set up his BMW different to what Adam does, or Steve and Jelly does exactly the same from the two of them. You know, it's all about what goes on within, you know, WSR's programs. We don't, as you know, we won't know exactly how to set up the cars. It's down to the teams and drivers, whatever their preference. But you know, I can see Adam doing quite well, and hopefully getting a few podiums, a few more than he has done over the last year or so. I know he's a very great racer. He's very fired up for it, but you know, he's now at a championship winning team, an overall championship winning team, which I think the move is great. I think, you know, who knows what's going to happen for that, and you know, who knows who the fourth car's going to be. So, you know, it's kind of, to a degree, weird because, you know, after running the family run team, you look when he had the Mercedes A class, you know, he had Aidan Moffat alongside him, but it was obviously Aidan Moffat ran it out of Laser Tools Racing, but it was a Sicily built car. And then obviously, you know, that was a few seasons, and then obviously you had the likes of Tom Oliphant that then went to WSR after racing for Sicily for one season. You know, it just shows exactly that, you know, teammates have moved on to pastures new. But then obviously you've had the likes of Dan Rowbottom. You know, Robo came into Sicily in 2019, and you know, realised the Mercedes A Class was that one, probably one of the hardest cars, or probably one of the cars that were a bit iffy to drive. Or as Robo described in a conversation or a interview with me or questionnaire, the Mercedes was a bit of a pig to drive, and you know, it just shows that Mercedes A Class was getting really past its heyday. It's been done a lot of mileage, and then, you know, we had Jack Butel in 2020, and then look where he went after that. He went to Accelerate in the Hyundai i30N Fastback for 2021, and then he stayed there for another season. So obviously, it just shows when you've got cars that haven't worked, and then you bring in new cars, it potentially does work. And then, you know, obviously Sicily have probably been thinking, well, we've been in the game for quite a long enough now. Maybe it's time that we focus on other things. For example, um, focusing on historics, or focusing on, you know, managing what we run. And obviously some of the cars, like, you know, obviously Adam has a few historic cars, or his dad decides, you know, maybe we just, you know, shelve the BTCC operation and we'll go racing elsewhere, because you know, it's down to the costing, it's down to what you run, and especially if you've got cars that, you know, are very hard to find parts for these days. Then that's probably why they shelved the touring car program. But if you know more, guys, let us know in the comments. And obviously, yeah, if you like this video, please do give it a massive thumbs up. And if you've got any questions or any comments, do stick them down below in the comment section below, and it will help me massively. And if you have liked this video, as I say, do give it a massive thumbs up, but please also do subscribe to Hoppers Motorsport Vlogs. It is an absolute pleasure to be doing another vlog. I'm looking forward to the next one that I'm going to be doing in the next couple of weeks. It is about UK TCR. It's a bit of a divided opinion about what I think about TCR and what I don't. Also, I'm going to be doing Japanese Super GT at some point, just to focus on that. But yeah, if you like this vlog about Adam Morgan, please do let us know what you think. Please do subscribe and please do like. You know, it helps us massively. Until the next vlog, guys, thank you for listening. Take care. Ta-ra.